Mr. Kismes is our president, one of the great men. Of course, he used to be MP and leading many big charity organizations around the world. And he's of course, he's chair of the trustee of the Universal Peace Federation and the president of the organization Stop Human Trafficking. Keith, please, if there's anything else, introduce yourself. I know you are in another country and you want to just do it, and after that, please introduce yourself. And welcome. Put your hand together for.
Sheikh, thank you very much for that introduction. I'm sorry I cannot be with you physically, but I'm actually in North Macedonia at the moment. And I really wanted to start with something that may not be seen to be directly relevant to human trafficking, but I believe it is. Karl Marx, very often regarded as the author of Communist System, famously said that property is theft. I challenge that. I'm afraid communism is theft, and I had a very good example of that just a couple of days ago when I was in Albania, and we were visiting a privately owned, family-run wine business. And the girl, who's one of the daughters, who is now helping to run it, explained how that in the communist era, her grandfather, who had owned 30 acres of land and had a very good, profitable wine business, suddenly found all that land expropriated by the state. And at the end of communism, rather than getting those 30 hectares back, he was given 2 hectares, not in the place that he wanted, but where he was told he could have them. And yet they have reactivated their wine business. But it gives you an example of the terrible problems under which many people in this world live in autocratic states where property is not allowed individually but is expropriated by the state. And the reason I mentioned that and its relevance to human trafficking and modern slavery is because those of us in the do not appreciate how difficult it is for those concepts of human rights to be enjoyed or even articulated in many countries of the world that are autocracies or are like North Korea, are ones that are completely run as a socialist state dominated by an individual dictator. And the relevance of this is when you look back at the end of the Second World War, and all these wonderful instruments were created, like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, there was no enforcement action there. We do have human rights instruments now which can be enforced. We have the European Convention on Human Rights, and if there is an infringement of that, you can go to the court in Strasbourg and get a determination as to whether your human rights enshrined in the European Declaration have been transgressed or not. But there is no such instrument for a breach of rights of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that came about at the end of the Second World War. There are very few treaties to which governments sign up where if they breach those treaties, there is some sort of penalty as a result. And Sheikh Ramsey was kind enough to refer to my various activities in the international sphere. One of those was as the chair of the executive committee of the World Federalist Movement. And in the late 1990s, we cooperated very much with Prime Minister Robinson of Trinidad and Tobago and other minor states that wanted to see the establishment of an international criminal court. I won't take you through the details of how that came about, but But what we did in the World Federalist Movement was to create a coalition of civil society, some 2,500 NGOs worldwide, and international lawyers now are kind enough to say that without that civil society intervention, we would not still now have an international criminal court. And of course, the importance of the International Criminal Court is that those states that sign up to it have to expect that if their head of state is responsible for committing one of the crimes enshrined in the statute of the International Criminal Court, they can be prosecuted. They can be prosecuted in their own country, and if their own country is unwilling or unable to do that, or the state in which the atrocity has been committed is unwilling or unable to do that, then they can be brought to The Hague. And it was remarkable how so many countries that signed up and then ratified the International Criminal Court had to change their own constitutions in order to remove the inviolability of their head of state. And maybe one of the reasons the United States under Clinton they did sign up quite literally the last minute before he ceased to be president, and then it was immediately reversed by his successor. But one of the reasons, no doubt, that the United States is so critical of the International Criminal Court is because it would mean that if President Trump, for example, committed what would be regarded as a war crime or a crime against humanity, then he could be prosecuted if they were a signatory to the International Criminal Court. So I'm going to end there, but I'm going to say this, that whilst we rightly try to mobilise civil society, whilst we rightly try to go to companies and get them to certify that their goods and services have not been obtained through the abuse of human dignity, through human trafficking or modern slavery, we do really need to concentrate also on making sure that those people who are in effect imprisoned in a human rights nightmare, where all the wonderful declarations that we have are not ones that are capable of being enforced. So it's another angle that I feel that we should adopt and look at. And with that, thank you very much indeed for your kind attention, and I wish you well in the deliberations that are going to take place here and now. So thank you all very much indeed, and Godspeed.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. You're great as usual. Thank you very much for making the time to, I know it's in Macedonia, to come to us. Of course, I'm sure your heart is there. And